Hey guys, welcome back to Adele DIY. So today, I am going to be teaching you guys how to write your own book. Now, let's get into it. Before I start teaching you how to write a book, let's start with some background. My book, Woodsnoff and the Oddball Neighbor, actually started as an 11-page story that I wrote in 5th grade as a realistic fiction unit. And my mom was like, Adele, this is really interesting. Do you think you might want to write a book about it? I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. So we met with my editor and we figured out how we could turn an 11-page story into a 3-act book. Every good story needs 3 parts and 3 acts. So it starts with the exposition, and then the rising action, and then the climax, followed by the falling action and the resolution. So in this 3-act chart, the exposition and the first rising action, since there are normally either 2 or 3 rising actions, are part of Act 1. The second rising action and climax, which is like the big event that happens, the confrontation, everything that's been building up to this one moment, that is the climax. And those both take place in Act 2. Act 3 is everything that happens after the climax. It's when all the tension is starting to fall. So that's the falling action and the resolution. For example, in my book, Act 1 consists of the setup. Woodsnoff is a 7th grade girl who next door there have been this weird noises and lights flashing coming from her neighbor. And when she goes to her parents are like, don't worry about it, it's fine. And her friends have other things to do. So she's left to her own device and she's like, what am I going to do? And she's almost pushed off the edge. And then she comes home and there are all these crazy smelling candles floating around. Like, is her neighbor a witch? Did he set them up? Is he trying to hypnotize her? What is going on? And that is where Act 1 ends, with a suspenseful cliffhanger that will get the reader to wanting more. In my book, Act 2, the confrontation, is when Holly puts her friends and her safety at risk by going to her crazy neighbor's house. Who does that? That's like getting into the candy van. And then the third rising action is when she's standing outside of Mr. Fletcher's door. She's like trembling. She's like, should I go in? And then this crazy squirrel appears out of nowhere. Like, what? And then, before she even has the chance to decide, Mr. Fletcher opens up the door and is like, you want some hot cocoa? And she's like, no. And that is the climax, when she finally meets Mr. Fletcher. And the resolution, you can only find out if you read it. Available on Amazon if you search Woodsnoff and Oddball Neighbor. Now, your turn. Think about what your book is. Think about your book setup. Who's the main character? What are their motivations? Why does the reader care? What's the dramatic premise? What is your problem? Make it as interesting as possible. What's your first rising action? What is the cliffhanger that leaves the reader wanting more, wanting to read on, wanting to see what happens next? And also, who's your audience? My book is a middle grade book, so it's more geared towards ages 8 to 13. But if you want to try a chapter book for ages 7 to 10, or a young adult book for ages 13 to 18, whatever you want to write, you can write. Now, to go from 11 pages to 100 pages, that is a huge jump. So we need to fill that space with subplots and characters. Make it as interesting as possible. So my subplots were a stressful, high-stake science fair, becoming a reporter as a cover. She needed glasses. Me. Now some characters. We had some characters at school who were very strange and eccentric and nerdy and rich and whatever you wanted them to be. There were quirky and unbelievable and some believable teachers there. So based on your life, can you think of some subplots and characters that you can add into these books? Because let me tell you, if you spend a lot of time with me, you probably recognize some events in the story from my personal life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe down below. Also, make sure to purchase my book, Woodsnoff and the Oddball Neighbor by me, Adele Ciociola, on Amazon. See you next week. Bye, guys. Mwah. Also, at the Santa Monica Public Library on November 26th, I'm doing this really fun writer's workshop thing. More details below. Hope to see you there. Bye, guys.